Hi, I'm going to give you a dream that I had last night that I believe is showing us a false flag event is coming up. So first I'll give you the dream and then my interpretation. First of all, there were many of us walking into this shop and I knew that we were there to act. I didn't know what we were to do or anything, but that was our job, was going to act. So we were mulling around, just kind of talking with each other. And then we were told, some other people came in and looked at equipment. I don't remember much about this beginning part, but we were told that we could order, that we were done, and that we could order either some food or a drink. So I went over to the drink area, which was more like a coffee bar, and there was a lady working behind the bar, and I asked her a question I never asked, nor do I drink this, which is whole milk. I said, "Do you have any whole milk?" And she turned to a man that she was working with, and he appeared, kind of suddenly appeared beside me and was looking at her over the bar. And she said, "Colonel, do we have any whole milk?" So as soon as she called him Colonel, I had the understanding that she worked with him. She was under his command, and also they both were in fatigues. So this is just a picture I found on the internet, not anybody I know. So they were both in fatigues working behind this, she was behind the coffee bar and he was beside me. Now, a customer came in during that time and he gave the colonel, this is kind of where it starts to get prophetic, he gave the colonel a camera. And so the colonel started taking pictures of this woman behind the bar who was working, and she would make these faces as if she was terrified, as if something was going on and she was just terrified of what was happening. And I kind of made a joke that said, "Well, no wonder you don't have any customers, you're scared and all this stuff," and I was joking about it. And so as he continued taking the pictures, they both began to, what I saw in the dream was that they're wearing what I call a butcher uniform or a butcher lab coat. Now this is ironically, in real life, we just met with uniform people where I work. So I know what this feels like, and it's a very heavy coat. It's like plastic material. And at the time that I was at work having this meeting, the sales guy said, "Well, this coat is to be worn like by butchers because that way all the meat and the blood don't stain your clothes. It just, you can wash it right off of this coat." And so that was in the dream. The colonel and the girl behind the bar were wearing this. So he was taking pictures of her, and for some reason, and this is something I don't understand, he took a close-up of her eye. Okay, so she was laying on him kind of in an awkward position. He pushed her off, and as he pushed her off, to a certain extent, he groped her. I knew it was inappropriate, but all of us had seen it. And as he pushed her off, he and the what I call the general, because the customer that had come in and had given the camera to the colonel reminded me of General Hammond from Stargate, if you've ever seen that show. So we'll just say the colonel gave the camera back to the general, and the colonel came right up to me and said, do you ever look at photos of your family on BackTab? Now, BackTab it's not backstab, it's BackTab without the S. And in the dream, I had the impression that he must be talking about some kind of social media like Instagram or Snapchat. And I'm not familiar with any of that. And I said, "No, I don't know what BackTab is." And as he said that, there was a guy beside me, and this guy had a plastic flask that looked just like, you would have liquor in it. And it was all made out of plastic, though, and there was at the bottom of it, there was a little bit of brown or dark liquid, and this guy said, "Do you want this?" and tried to hand me the bottle, and I said, "No, if I wanted that, I would want one of the really pretty flasks that are made out of glass, that have the silver top, and they come in that black velvet pouch." Okay, that's what I knew in my mind. If that's a flask, that's what I wanted. So I woke up after that, and let me kind of tie this together. So this reminded me immediately of a false flag event. And it is the kind of event where it appears that one thing happened, but in fact somebody else was behind the scenes. And so there was acting going on. And in some of these false flag events, we've seen the same person in several events, catastrophic events. And you know, at this point they should have died, but they're not. They're faces in all the crowds. So this man was taking pictures of this woman as if something was horrible was happening, but she was acting. Not only that, but they had on these butcher uniforms as if we're not actually being killed. There is no actual blood being spilled, at least not on us. We're just part of the act, but it's not really happening to us. And the other piece of that reminds me that it wasn't genuine was this flask, even though it's a weird part of the dream. But I knew it was not a genuine flask. A lot of those liquor bottles, if you've ever looked at them in stores, they can be very beautiful, but they're deceptive because we know that there's, liquor in them. As I like to say at work, it's hooch. So, I don't drink that stuff. But I do know that the bottles can look really beautiful, like some perfume bottles. But this flask was not genuine. It didn't seem genuine to me. So between that and between the colonel, the military must be behind what's going to happen, or at least they're part of it. I don't know if it has to do with a coffee shop or not. I do want to say one more thing about this back tab, and that is I looked it up online. And there's actually something called, let's see if I can get this, oops, sorry, backtab.com. It is this thing here, which is like as small as a computer tablet, and you can lay up against it. And it's made in Berlin, Germany, or at least that's who the contact place is here in Germany. So, my impression of the dream overall is that it's a false flag event that's coming. There's another one somewhere. I don't know if it has to do with coffee. I don't know if it has to do with Germany at all. But I do know that the military is behind it of some sort, and I guess it's just something to watch for. I think it's coming.